Cold dead hands at 9.
That's
Might
what
be
I thought.
11.
Alrighty, let's get to work.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
And young enough to do.
well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who brings the job a fresh new point of view? Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
And it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you'll cast your vote for Kennedy and a change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, in the quite infamous Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect, live with you. TKE tonight for Monday, 15 July 2024. It's been a bit of a busy day. Lots of stories to cover. It is our quick hitting weeknight hour of the Kennedy Effect, TKE tonight for the 15th of July 2024. Welcome to one and all. We are live on my personal Facebook, our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information, my LinkedIn, and my Twitch channel. And the audio, of course, is streaming all around the world on GCPR Live. If you have not checked us out yet, we ask you to do so. We happen to think you will greatly enjoy it, and we hope that you will. GCPR Live. If you've not checked us out yet, please do so. I am proud to be a small part of the GCPR family and the new GCPR structure and effort, whatever you would like to add to that. I hope that you have checked us out. I hope you've been to the website. If you haven't, please do check it out. Find out about all of our programming. We are live 7 days a week. There's really nowhere that we can't be found, and we hope that you will do exactly that and check us out. Let's get into it. I'm going to do a quick little experiment here because I obviously was blocked for ages, almost a full week, from sharing our program. So I want to see, oh, look at that, I can share. Perhaps I will be a bit careful with the places that I share. so that we don't get stopped again. We shall see. Interesting. Yeah, let's see. We'll be a little selective about where we share the program, shall we? But yeah, wow, we can actually share the program. Isn't that lovely? That's fantastic. That said, thanks for being here. It's been a busy day. Welcome to Donna, and I hope that the rest of you out there are happy, healthy, and well, and that everybody is okay. And especially if you are in the northeastern area, I guess I'd say the middle Atlantic states and the eastern seaboard, really. I hope that you are okay. I hope that you are doing okay with the heat, and it has been profound. I mean, it's been, while the actual air temperatures have not crossed 100 every single day, the so-called real field temperatures here in the Lehigh Valley and the surrounding states have been in the upper 90s on a cooler day, into the hundreds now for going on 3 weeks, with only very brief respites of rain, and most of those heavy downpours that come in and do nothing other than exacerbate the humidity. It would seem they don't seem to really cool anything down. They don't seem to take the humidity out of the air, but they're not helping. Let's put it that way. They're not helping much. But yeah, that's so. I hope that you're well. I hope you're okay. I just hope you're okay. I just hope everybody's taking care of themselves, and that everybody's, that everybody is okay. Just that everybody's okay. All right, very busy day. Let's get to it. There's really 3 big main stories. If you were with us last evening for our Sunday program, then you know that I spent a lot of time on just the staggering irony of the assassination attempt on Trump. And let us be fair, let us be honest, let us not sugarcoat anything, let us not try to spin anything. It was an assassination attempt. Period. It was political violence. It was domestic terrorism. Period. Just period. That's it. That's what it was. And so we must be honest about that. But I've been gobsmacked at the staggering hypocrisy and irony of the attack on Trump. And I won't get into all of it again tonight unless I'm running out of time, unless I have minutes to fill. But if you were at all a part of the program last night, then we've been through this, so you know basically what I had to say about it. I won't really review it unless we have some time left in the program. Instead, 3 big stories today. Today is, first, I should admit to you, and I should admit especially to my Facebook friends and followers, I think I got duped. I'm usually really pretty good about these things, but I think I got kind of duped. There was a very innocent, my glasses are profoundly crooked. I'm not sure quite why. There was a meme traveling around Facebook that Joy Reid was going to spend the entirety of her program tonight examining and breaking down Project 2025. And it started to circulate last week, and I thought, well, that makes perfect sense. I mean, there's been a lot of press about this. Some facts, some of the key points have now become into the mainstream. It is a fact now that Trump's name appears in the document 312 times for a document that he has professed to know nothing about, but yet somehow not support, even though he doesn't know anything about it. But his name's in it on average every 3 pages, because it's a document that is over 900 pages long. So on average, his name appears every 3 pages. So there's that. So we spent some time on that too. But today, there's really 3 things. Day one. So I thought she was going to spend her whole program on this. I lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. She was going to spend her program on that today. And then I came to realize later last night, and then through today and this morning and today, that today is day one of the Republican National Convention. So she doesn't even have a program on tonight. It's just straight convention coverage. So I think I kind of got duped a little bit. Sorry, folks. I think I got duped a little bit into thinking that was going to take place. And I shared that out, and I encouraged people to watch. And I think I talked about it on here, trying to get you to watch and learn more about this just insane, just dreadfully fascist document, manifesto, really, by the 1% and by the billionaire class. So I apologize for kind of feel like I misled you all. It sure as hell wasn't my intention. Just, yeah, I mean, sorry. But anyway, let's get to the 3 big stories. There are really 3 big stories today. 1, RNC Day One. 2, Trump made a VP pick. 3, the judge he appointed paid him back and earned her paycheck from the Federalist Society. Let's start with the RNC Day One. Let's start with RNC Day One. Today is the first day of the Republican National Convention. There's been a lot of reporting that the tone of this convention is now going to radically change after the assassination attempt on the ex-president. Well, I have not seen any of the speakers so far. The overwhelming amount of the coverage that I have seen has been more about the event itself and continuing to refer back to the assassination attempt and whatever new news has come out of that. And what new news has come? Well, again, sometimes memes are wickedly well done, and appropriate ways. I can't keep my glasses straight here. I look like I fell off a truck here. They bite. They're sarcastic. They're witty. They're insightful. They're smart. And I cannot take credit for this tonight for thinking of this. I can't take credit for thinking of it, but I happen to agree with it 100%. The young man who tried to kill the ex-president was not a trans individual trying to play high school sports. He was not the author of a banned book. He wasn't Muslim. He wasn't an immigrant. He was exactly the kind of person that Republicans have courted. He appeared to be very well educated, but white, Caucasian. Exactly the kind of person that they want. And a registered Republican. And I don't think that that's a very small, I don't think that that should be very easily overlooked. He was not a trans, not a drag queen, wasn't an immigrant, wasn't from Milwaukee, which Trump called a horrible city, but of course he's there now. He's exactly was, I should say was, exactly what Republicans were trying to bring into the fold. So sometimes these memes and these talking points and these short, quick hitters are exceptionally on point. I almost said on target, which would have been very poor grammar, given the context. It would have been pretty, I should think better than that. But anyway, top three. So day one of the Republican National Convention. So let's see now what the tone of the convention is. It has been pretty widely reported that the campaign, the Trump campaign itself, has gone to the entire roster of speakers and said, you will not mention the assassination. Mr. Trump will speak on that on Thursday night. I imagine now his VP pick will probably be allowed to speak on that as well. But that he will speak on this and that they don't want every single speaker to speak about it. I think in part because they can't control the speakers. And because some of these literal certifiable folks will, God knows what they'll say about it. Which kind of leads me straight into big topic number 2. Trump has made his pick for vice president. And it is the junior senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, 39-year-old investment banker, vulture capitalist, man who made money from money. Now, Mr. Vance, to his credit, was born in Ohio, poor town, grew up poor, got himself a world-class education, graduate of Yale, and then became a vulture capitalist. Went back to his town and pretty much screwed over all the people that he grew up with. It's funny to me as well, you know, we spent so much of the program last night talking about irony. Republicans love to rail against the Ivy League East Coast elites, as if they're some form of aliens. Mr. Vance graduated from Yale. Last I checked, it's an East Coast Ivy League school. And a bloody good one. So doesn't that by definition then make him an East Coast Ivy League elite? No, never mind. He's one of ours. It's only other people that are that. The otherization of anyone that you don't agree with did not start on the left side of the aisle. I'm not here to tell you that we haven't dipped our toes in that pool occasionally. But we certainly didn't start it. That anyone that you think you can make a target, if you're on the right, anybody that you think you can make a target out of, the otherization of literally tens of millions of people. And you'll see Ted Cruz and Rick Scott and Josh Hawley and J.D. Vance talk about the Northeast Ivy League liberal elites. Ted Cruz went to Harvard and Oxford. Josh Hawley and J.D. Vance went to Yale. I think they're exactly what they rail against. Republicans are excellent. They're really, really excellent at demonizing the opposition for doing exactly what they themselves are doing. Remember what Joseph Goebbels said: if you repeat a lie often enough and loud enough, it eventually becomes the truth. So as the radical right and the right-wing hate media machine continues to demonize people on the left, accusing them of doing the exact things that they themselves are doing, it tends to become truth. You can't trust those people. They're East Coast liberal elites. Mr. Vance graduated from Yale. So did Senator Cruz, graduated from Harvard. Hawley from Yale. You can't make it up. But I happen to think Mr. Trump picked Mr. Vance for a reason. Well, I imagine there were probably several reasons. But I think following this assassination attempt, he picked him to do some of the things that Trump is going to try not to do. When Mr. Vance hit social media after the assassination attempt on Mr. Trump, he immediately blamed President Biden and Democrats. While countless other Republican office holders tried to strike a more conciliatory tone, Vance went for the throat. He went for the clicks. He went for the obvious, showing, surprise, surprise, no statesmanship or leadership whatsoever. He went for the Fox News line. He went for the Alex Jones line. And I think he did that, by the way, to maybe as his last push to ingratiate himself to Trump. And it appears to have worked. But at a time when when Trump himself, and again, countless other Republican office holders across this country were saying, all right, enough now. We need to take a step back. We need to look at what we're doing here. We need to, quote unquote, lower the temperature. Not Vance. Straight for the throat. A man who's never worked, who has built his wealth off the backs of others, stealing it right from their pockets, who has made money from money. Numbers on a spreadsheet, clicks, copy, paste, edit, delete, and paid himself handsomely and bought himself a U.S. Senate seat. At 39 years old, is now going to be the Republican, or is, because it was done by acclamation today, is the Republican nominee for vice president. Now, there's some very practical things in here, too. Very politically practical things. Generally, in a national election, you want to balance the ticket. The presidential nominee happens to be from Florida or wherever he's not facing charges and probably not paying taxes. And so Southeast, you balance it with Midwest, Northern Midwest, Ohio, a state that Trump wants to win, probably would win anyway. I don't believe a Democrat has won Ohio since 92. Pretty sure I have that correct. I don't think a Democrat has won hasn't won Ohio in a presidential election, I think, since 92. So Trump was, in all likelihood, going to take Ohio anyway. So it's not that. I mean, that might have been part of his. I'm not in Trump's head, thank goodness. But it might have been part of the calculation. I think that actually might have been part of the calculation as to why Marco Rubio didn't eventually get picked. Having both men come from Florida doesn't help anything. And again, Florida state, their Republicans will win anyway. I think Governor Brogram was, at the end of the day, just too old and didn't have. Trump doesn't want anyone to outshine him. The governor certainly would not have done that. But I think he also wants a little bit of energy as well. The governor is very measured, very statesman-like, actually. Solid speaker, well put together, gives a good presentation. By all accounts, I mean, I would say good governor. He didn't do any policies that I happen to agree with, but he certainly didn't make a spectacle of himself. The way DeSantis or Abbott or Kristi Noem do on a regular basis. I'm not stunned that Trump did not pick a woman. I never thought that was a possibility. I never really thought that was a possibility. I mean, at the end of the day, it was 3 white men that made his final 3. And you can say that Marco Rubio is a man of Hispanic descent. He is, but also outwardly looking. He doesn't exactly look like Henry Cuellar, does he? So, so there's that. But I think he chose him. I do think he chose him in part for his age. He's 39 years old. He's a lovely wife, lovely family. By all indications, is a, faithful husband, family man. I'm sure that led into it as well. But I also think Trump, he has showed also unceasing, unflinching, unquestioned loyalty to Mr. Trump, which we know is something that he values above everything, is complete loyalty, unquestioned loyalty, unwavering loyalty. Mr. Vance has said in the past that he would not have failed to, in his words, would not have failed to do what Vice President Pence failed to do. If Vance were in Pence's position, he would have worked to overthrow the results of the 2020 election and in turn overthrow the federal government. That he would have been part of that. He would have been a party to it. So this is no groundbreaking choice like Geraldine Ferraro in 1984 or Kamala Harris. This is no groundbreaking choice. He's actually quite an obvious one. An exceptionally wealthy white male who will do anything his master and masters tell him to do. And I sometimes will have discussions with some of my more politically wonky friends, like folks who are deep in it. Why would you want to be vice president and do nothing when you can stay in the Senate? The idea of being one heartbeat away from the most powerful elected position on earth is very tempting. If you are power hungry, the way Mr. Vance is, I do believe, and I think vice presidents on both sides of the aisle have taken the position for exactly that reason. And not always in an evil, power-hungry way, but the idea of being a heartbeat away from the presidency is pretty tempting. Something that any vice president should never want to have happen, but must be ready in case it does happen. 8:32, we're halfway through TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight for Monday, 15th of July, 2024. Coming up after us on GCPR Live and all of the GCPR social media outlets, Cold Dead Hands. If you have not tuned into Cold Dead Hands so far, you need to. And especially this week. There is no better program in the country to be on the air after what happened Saturday than Cold Dead Hands. And you need to check it out. And I hope that you will. It's a fantastic program. Hosted by one of, if not the leading expert on gun violence in this country. Ben and his co-host Brett, who lost his child to gun violence in Uvalde, Texas. It is a truly extraordinary program. And on a night like tonight, it's actually really, dare I say, appropriate. They will have a lot to say, I am certain, about the assassination attempt that happened on Saturday. There is one more big story that I want to cover. And that is one that disappointed me, one that angered me, and yet one that did not at all surprise me. Judge Cannon in Florida dismissed the charges for stealing and hoarding and potentially selling illegal or top secret documents against the former president. She dismissed the case under the auspice that the appointment of a special counsel is unconstitutional. We have had special counsels in this country since Watergate. And while the targets of those special counsels have always bitched and complained about them, none until now has tried to foist the argument on the American people that they're somehow unconstitutional. And by the way, I think this is related to the Chevron case. The original mandate, the original legislation that created the Department of Justice did not specifically give the Department of Justice or the Attorney General the right to appoint a special counsel. In the same way that the Chevron case, decided by just weeks ago by the Supreme Corporation, the EPA does not have a specific mandate or a right to regulate greenhouse gases because it was not in their original mandate, not in their original legislation for the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. I think this decision is very, very similar to that. The Justice Department, in its original creation, did not have the ability to appoint a special prosecutor. So therefore, unconstitutional. Only a Trump-appointed judge like Cannon could render such a decision. She has now validated and justified all the money spent on her appointment by the Heritage Foundation. I've told you on this program a bunch of times now that the best investment in this country is a politician. You can buy state legislators for $1,000, $2,000. You can buy Congress people for $5,000, $10,000 campaign donation. Buy senators for $100,000. And your return on that money can be 100-fold. The tens of millions that the billionaire class spent to elect Trump in 2016 yielded them tax cuts in excess of $8 trillion while raising taxes on people like you and me. That's a hell of a return on investment. And today, Trump got his return on investment. A judge who, again, the irony of the Republicans is inescapable. It chokes you. The Republicans who hate activist judges, hate judges who, legislate from the bench. Judge Cannon made up law out of whole cloth today to get her boss off the hook. Now, I suspect that Jack Smith will appeal. I suspect that he'll win. And I suspect that the appeals court will, what's the word I'm looking for? I think they'll chastise her, but they may very well discipline Judge Cannon. Because nearly all of her decisions since being on the bench have been overturned on appeal. She's just a terrible judge. Not because I disagree with her, but because she's just simply unqualified for the position. So today she made up law to get her boss off the hook. Elections matter. Every single vote matters. Every single one. It is going to be vitally, vitally important that, or I should say, who has control of the United States Senate. In a presidential year, nearly all the election focuses on the presidency. And you can understand that. It is natural. It is the highest elected office in the land. It is one of the most powerful positions on the planet, if not the most powerful. And it only happens every 4 years. So it's natural. It's really quite natural for it to gain or to garner all the focus. But as you consider your vote, either by mail-in ballot if you live in a state with early voting, or if you're going to the polls on November 5th, as you consider your vote, consider whom you're voting for the United States Senate with every bit of scrutiny that you would give the presidency. If Republicans take back control of the Senate and Trump were to win the White House, the judicial branch in this country will be affected for multiple generations. And the decisions that come from them will affect this nation for centuries. Trump appointed over 300 judges in his 4 years. People in their 30s and early 40s, some who weren't even lawyers. And to be fair, You don't need to be a lawyer to be a federal judge. It's not a requirement. It's pretty damn helpful, but it's not a requirement. Some who were lawyers never tried a case in court. Never. They did corporate law. They wrote contracts. They negotiated labor deals, negotiated mergers and buyouts. But they never actually adjudicated a case. Many of them. You can find these on YouTube. There are famous short clips of even senators like that good old-fashioned podunk boy like John Kennedy from Louisiana with his fake Southern accent, who were so embarrassed by the nominees put in front of them that even they couldn't support them. There's a very famous hearing of the Senate Judiciary Committee where I think there was either 3 or 5 different Trump appointees testifying at the same time. And the Republican Senator Kennedy goes right down the table and says, have you ever tried a case in court? No. But you are a lawyer, yes. But you've never been in court, no. And then him saying, well, what makes you qualified for this? People that even the most ardent Trump supporters would not vote for. Trump will put another 300 judges on the bench. The only president who has not just appointed but approved more judges than Trump is Biden. He's restored somewhat of a balance to the federal courts. But when the Heritage Foundation goes shopping for people that they can sponsor to bring these cases, to have judges make the decisions that they were paid to make, they go judge shopping. I need to find a baker who hates gay people so much he won't make a cake for them. Where can we find one of the... Oh, Texas. That'll work. They don't find that baker in Washington State or in California or Massachusetts. Texas. Where did we put Judge Cannon? Florida. They go judge shopping. And when you've appointed 300 judges, you have a boatload, I almost swore, you have a boatload of judges to pick from. So those are really the 3 big stories of the day. Day one of the RNC. Trump picks a VP, a mini-me. And here's the, you know what, it drags me off into a tangent. Surprised. Surprise! One would have to think that Mr. Vance considers himself the heir apparent now. And I don't just mean because he would be a heartbeat away from the presidency. But if Trump should step aside, if he should pass, become incapacitated, J.D. Vance thinks the next Trump. Except, as we talked about on this program a couple of times now, there is a fundamental difference between a movement and a cult. Cults die when the cult leader dies. Mr. Vance is no Trump. He thinks he is. He thinks he'll just be able to pick up the mantle and carry on. But because Trumpism is not a political movement or a civic movement or a social movement, it is a cult. I think Mr. Vance will be in for a hell of a surprise. Now, if Trump is elected, something happens to him, yeah, Vance will become president. There's no question. That's how the Constitution works. I imagine in that case, the Republicans will be quite happy with how the Constitution works. Certainly Mr. Vance will want to follow the Constitution if it means he can ascend to the presidency. Really do have to marvel at the way Republicans have begun to take the Constitution when it's convenient. But that's our big 3 stories of the day. We'd like to know what you think. Put in a comment wherever you might be that you can comment on the program. We ask you to do so. You could try to call the program. We do have about 10 minutes left before we have to wrap up. Maybe about 8 minutes. We do have about 8 to 10 minutes before we have to wrap up. You can call. We'll do the old microphone thing. We'll try it that way. Let me change that so you can see the phone number. Right there. 267-227-9189. Let's give it a shot. I think I even turned it on. Yep, I did. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. If not, I totally get it. But I would, Randall makes a really important point in the chat. Judge Cannon, if she had any type of experience in the law whatsoever, if she had any scruples, any morals, any values, any decency, any integrity, would have recused herself from presiding over a case that involved her boss and owner. But she stayed right there. After delaying the case for nearly a year, she was given, because I'm sure she didn't come up with this thought on her own. I doubt she came up with this thought on her own. She found a way to get her boss a pass. Period. And she did. She took it. So, frightening stuff. Frightening stuff. Randall makes a really good point. She should have recused herself, but didn't. And why didn't she? Because she was doing exactly what she was paid to do. That's why she was chosen. That's why she was put in that particular federal district. She did exactly what she was paid and plucked and picked and groomed to do. You know, you often hear pundits talk about how Republicans are really, really good at playing the long game. Now, I'm not here to tell you that Trump himself or the people that surround him, when they nominated Judge Cannon, were thinking to themselves, we get her in the Southern District of Florida. When I steal these documents, I will be able to, I'll have my own judge to get me out of it. I'm not saying they were that smart to think of that, but it worked. It sure as hell worked. I am guessing it's Randall. Go ahead, sir. Oh, yeah, this is sloppy. Go ahead. I'm assuming it's Randall.
All right, hold on.
No, you got it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got to do it the sloppy way, my friend.
I know. You got to find that tech man to bring it back. So I can't. The help. I'm getting my words all mixed up. I apologize. The technical people from this streaming platform have told me there's no way to integrate the phone. That's just exactly why I need to get the F rid of it and find something else. Time to get the rest of the crew on board to find something that actually works. But go ahead. Yeah,
we got about 3-4 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, in relation to Vance,
U.S. Senator Vance being chosen as the VP Republican nominee under Trump, Trump was nothing better than someone who comes out initially and says, this is the worst pick for a president, for the 2016 election, and then makes a 180-degree turn, and now I am the biggest Trump supporter in the world. Trump loves nothing better than somebody that was against him becoming his lapdog.
I think this is a really excellent point, and one that I forgot to mention. I mean, you had all of these sycophants, all of them, Lindsey Graham, Rubio, Cruz, more than I can name, who tried to tell their party just how depraved Trump is. Not just was then, but still is. And boy, he set foot in the White House and they all changed their tune super quick. They couldn't kiss his ass fast enough. And apparently Vance was just better at it than the rest of them. Go ahead.
Well, as you said, he's the perfect choice for Trump. He's white, he's rich, he's young, and he's articulate.
Right. I mean, most of what he says are lies, but he's really good at saying it.
Oh, yeah. And anyway, that was the first point you were talking about. The second point you were talking about, I can't remember what it was. I apologize. I got a mind blank here. But getting back to U.S. Judge Cannon, boy, is she a piece of you-know-what. I mean, again, yes, she should have recused herself from day one, but no, she prolonged everything for over a year, and now I think somebody put the bug, or a number of people put the bug in her ear. Oh, this is what you do. And that means it has to go back to Attorney General Garland to appoint a prosecutor in the Justice Department, and everything has to start over. From the grand jury investigation to actually going to court on their recommendation. And, of course, Trump, his whole thing is, I'm going to win, and January 20th, I am going to send the orders out. You will do this. You will do that. You're out of here, period. You're gone. You're not part of the...
And make no mistake, Randall, you made an excellent point. You always make great points, but you made a really, really salient, very, very clever point here. She made this announcement today. Day one of the Republican National Convention, the first Monday after an assassination attempt. Not on a slow news day. Not on a quiet Tuesday in March where nothing else is going on. She waited till today in the hopes that the story would get buried. And to a dangerous extent, it has gotten buried. It's been buried under the RNC and the continuing investigation into the assassination attempt. She got away with all of it. I also happen to agree with Randall, too. And I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. She did not lie awake at night and think to herself, okay, how can I do this? What's the best way for me to do this? She was told. Everything was handed to her. Here's what you're going to do. Here's the justification for your decision. She didn't do this on her own. I don't think Judge Cannon is a stupid woman. That's not my point. My point is that this was a political decision, not a judicial or legal decision. This was done by political people. She is a political appointee. And political people told her what to do, and she did. She paid back the people who paid her. It's nothing, and it's nothing more complicated than that.
And she was appointed 3 days after the November election of 2020. After Trump lost, she was appointed to Florida, where he has changed his legal residency.
Yep. They know the long game. They're really, really good at it. I mean, really good. Anyway, I got to cut it short. We got to end up. We got a program coming on right after us. Thank you. I know this is a sloppy way to take phone calls, but I deeply appreciate that you called.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
You got it, my friend. Bye. So that basically does it for us. I know it's 8:58. I went a little tad too long last Monday and bled into no pun. That's a terrible. Ran over. Just say ran over. It's very natural for me to say that I bled over into the next program, but it's. I mean, given the events of the weekend and the tenor of the country, that's pretty crappy. Pretty crappy choice of words for me to use, but I should be smarter than that. It just kind of flew out. I should be smarter than that, though. I got to take my time and be smarter. Anyway, coming up on GCPR Live, the audio and all of our video platforms, Cold Dead Hands with Brett and Ben. It is a really extraordinary program, and it's something that you'll hear only on GCPR Live. Stay right here, www.gcpr.live. Listen to us on Vozcast, Shoutcast, and the video on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, anywhere. Just Google GCPR Live. You will find everywhere that we can be seen. Check this program out. You need to see it. For everyone at GCPR, Sergeant Mac, Gambit, Gilbert, Ben, Brett, Pastor Best, Bob Kosh, I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. For everybody with the Kennedy Effect, George, Lynn, Kristen, Daisy the dog, and still somehow Guy the cat downstairs. I'm Jeff Kennedy. We've done all the damage we can do for one night. We will see you tomorrow night from 8 p.m. Stay tuned for Cold Dead Hands coming up live on GCPR right about now.